Welcome, everyone. My name is Alex Counts, and I'm the Executive Director of the India Philanthropy Alliance. And this is our town hall, virtual town hall series, where we explore for an hour each month topics of interest to organizations in the IPA ecosystem, whether they're represented on our board, involved in India Giving Day, or involved in some other way, in doing good from America to India, and that kind of philanthropy corridor, as we call it sometimes. I'll say that next year we're looking at town halls that we will do on issues such as cybersecurity, mid-range giving, and trends in philanthropy. I'm going to be talking actually later today with the philanthropy, the fundraising kind of writer for the Chronicle of Philanthropy, and she is interested in being one of our guests to talk about trends in philanthropy. So hopefully that will come. And also we're probably going to bring back our legal advisors who kind of meet with us periodically to talk about regulatory and compliance issues in India and the US. And we'll probably do that in the first quarter or early in the second quarter. We are always interested from organizations in and around IPA to suggest ideas for topics, to suggest speakers. I will also mention that we're gearing up for India Giving Day, March 13th, 2026. And a lot of exciting news about that, but we could spend a whole hour on that. I won't do that. But what we're going to be talking about today is how to use video effectively in marketing your nonprofit and raising money. And I'm going to, as is our custom, I'm going to ask a couple of questions to our guest speaker, who I'll introduce in just a second. And then the second half of it, we'll leave it open to you all to pose questions. Now, our speaker today, I only met fairly recently. Some of our guests I've known for decades, but I've learned so much from Taylor in a few conversations. I said she has to really join us, and she agreed readily and is here. So let me bring you in, Taylor, to our here we go, and welcome. So pleased to have you with us. And just a short formal introduction she's the co-founder and CEO of Make a Scene, not Make Sense, Make a Scene Media, a video production studio specializing in strategic storytelling for mission-driven organizations. She's a former creative producer in mainstream media, but she brings professional production expertise with a deep understanding of what makes video content effective for fundraising and donor engagement. I have to let a few more people in here. Her approach focuses on helping organizations create compelling visual narratives that drive action, whether it's securing major gifts, building supporter communities, or launching campaigns. Taylor's work centers on making high quality of video strategy accessible and practical for organizations navigating the evolving landscape of digital fundraising and donor communications. Taylor, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to chat today. You mentioned this is the latest you've done one of these town halls, but I think this is actually really, really great timing. End of the year, there's some really cool stuff I want to talk about today. So as we're looking at next year and planning, this is actually a really great time to think about video, because I like to think of video as part of your strategy, not just as like a response to something. So thank you for having me.
Excellent. And it is, we are, while we're at the end of the year and probably too late for videos, or maybe not for videos for year-end fundraising, we have a tradition called India Giving Day that there are lots of opportunities to use what people learn from you today in that. So let's start with the first question. Can you give some examples of how nonprofits can use video to effectively communicate with donors, including major donors, and motivate them to contribute, especially strategies that are currently underutilized or not well known?
Yeah. So I love this question, and there's a bunch here that I want to dive into. Um, First and foremost, I want to just kind of reiterate again that we think of video as part of your overall strategy, right? Like sometimes people come to us and they say, "Oh, we have this event." So we know we want to capture the event and we want to be able to highlight it and share. Or oh, we have this specific new program we need to launch and we need to really explain how this program is going to work. Those are great uses of video. But that's a little bit more into like the explanation of things and explanatory. Where we like to look at video is like, how are you making a connection, right? Because the number one, one of the greatest things about video is its ability to make an emotional connection with somebody relatively quickly. And so we really want to look at ways that we are inviting donors and people in our community to make those connections and feel aligned with the organization. Another thing that video is really helping to do right now is prove authenticity, right? We all know AI is here, it's not going anywhere. And that's a blessing and a curse, right? In some ways, it's making our lives so much easier. It's making things like personalization and data analytics so much faster and so much, more readily available to organizations where it used to be something very expensive. Now you can access these things yourself. But the problem is now everybody knows you're using an AI tool to say, hey, dear Mrs. Smith, or dear John. We all know that that's some tool has AI inserted their name into the letter you've written them, even if it's hand signed. There's a piece of authenticity or a piece of that connection that's missing when you just put someone's name. So I actually want to give two examples of an experience that I had personally. One that I had as a donor, and then one that I've seen is really awesome and is a really cool new tool. So in a way to use video to create that very hyper personalized authenticity that I think is the thing that really is creating connections and really moving people to donate. So the first example was one where I donated recently to an organization. There's an organization here in Baltimore that does creative arts education for youth. So it provides employment opportunities and training to kids looking to get into the creative industry. I recently saw a fundraiser come through. Actually, it was Giving Tuesday. And it said, hey, for $40, you can actually pay for a student to go through 2 weeks of classes. And I was like, I love that. I love it because it's measurable. I can see the tangible output, right? One of my personal values is to help inspire more creatives in the world. This is aligned with what I want to do, and I can see the direct impact. So I was like, great, $40, easy. That's an easy thing, right? Made the donation. I also love that they put on there, hey, would you like to pay for the fees associated with it? Of course I do. I want every penny to go directly to this organization. So making that the option. And then I didn't think anything of it, right? For like whatever, I made the donation, I went on about my day. But 20 minutes later, not even 20 minutes later, I got an email. In the email, it said, hey, Taylor, thank you for your donation. We made a video for you.
Hmm.
And in the video was just a cell phone video, really low tech, not even great lighting, just like very DIY, with somebody saying, Taylor, thank you so much for that gift. That $40 is going to let me go to class, and I cannot wait to get started. My dream is to be a director, and this is the greatest program. That was it. And it probably took them, again, 30 seconds. Maybe they did it once or twice because they messed up or something. But it was such a low tech, low impact, probably pretty easy thing to do if you have some volunteers there just immediately responding. And I felt so a part of that organization. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to the next fundraiser. I want to meet that kid. I want to find out more about his dreams. So and because he said my name, I'm like, he knows me. Oh my gosh, I feel so important. But that $40 is now, going to be maximized because I'm in and I'm so invested and I want to keep investing in that organization. So that's sort of the low tech, low DIY way. Another way is we have an organization. So my company, Make a Scene Media, we make video content for a lot of nonprofit organizations. One of the spaces we're in heavily is affordable housing, where there's a really bad, there has an image problem, frankly. People think of affordable housing, they think of, what that looks like and the people that live there. And there's a lot of stereotyping, a lot of stigma associated with affordable housing. So the organizations in affordable housing are on a mission to really help rewrite what that looks like, rewrite, make these beautiful buildings, wonderful programs that really inspire you and make you think differently about this, that this is an everyone need. So we have this one organization. They do great work in the affordable housing space. They have probably 5 to 10,000 possible donors in their donor registry, right? Like people that they can reach out to. But of that list, there's maybe a dozen that they have on their list courting who would give enough money to put their name on a building, right? These are the people who are donating millions of dollars. They know that at some point they might put their name on a building. And so what they've done is specifically taken those very small handful of folks and customized video that really speaks to that donor. So obviously they've given money in the past. So what we've done is actually go out and highlighted, created videos of programs, of buildings, of pieces of buildings that their donations in the past have actually helped to build and the outcomes that those achieved. And actually, they've even interviewed, some of these folks before for some of their previous videos and things that they've made. So we took those previous interviews, put it into this, and it's all super high quality, very cinematic. It's like an Architectural Digest magazine in video form, but like really thanking this individual for stepping up to the need of the moment. And so, and then they go and either hand deliver it, or I'll talk about later another way that I think would be really cool to reach people, a new technology that's come out that I think would be great for this exact process. But so you can see in both of those places, it's about hyper personalization. It's about making people feel connected. And it's about really tying that donation directly to the impact that it can make. Because again, I feel like people connect more with outcomes. They connect more with people. They connect more with missions and objectives that are working, right? So that's the other thing I think that one of the things that happens a lot in video is you see these videos that are full of emotion, right? You see these ones that are just like they literally, like the phrase is tug on your heartstrings, right? Like you want to tug on your heartstrings. We've all seen the Sarah McLachlan. I don't know if you have or not, but there's a video of Sarah McLachlan raising money for I think puppies, and it's so sad. And every time I see it, I'm like, those poor puppies. But I've never once called to donate to that cause, even though I very strongly love animals. I like Sarah McLachlan and I like all those things. But the video does not give me any hope that there's any way to solve the problem. It looks like this problem is unsolvable. It is just depressing and they haven't figured it out. Like, what are you going to do about it? Tell me what you're going to do about it. Show me the happy puppies that have found a home, that are running and frolicking. Like, people want to invest in the future they want to help co-create. So help people see that future you are trying to create and show them how their investment with you, how their participation with you helps to make that future a reality. So those are some of the top things.
Great. On your first example, which I loved, you said it was low impact, and I think you meant low impact on the organization to produce it, but high impact on you, the donor, and which makes a lot of sense. I think you'll get later to the things like the video brochures or how you deliver the second one to the donor, right? You'll get to that a little bit later on, so I won't. So let me get the second question. Let's just get very practical. So a lot of these organizations are fairly small. They may not be super tech savvy, but we all have these smartphones now that we use probably 5% of the capabilities of. What are some practical advice that you could give for people on their own to record, edit, and circulate videos in a nonprofit context. That obviously could do a lot more with a firm like yours, but things they can do on their own just to improve. And when we first met, you gave me one very, very practical example that I've actually applied many times since then. But share with the group.
First of all, I just want to say, do it. Just do it. Okay. Number one, quality of video is no longer the standard, right? Because everybody has a phone in their pocket. When COVID happened, we got used to seeing our news anchors at home on their Skype, with really bad lighting and really bad quality signal. So it's no longer a signal to the people watching if you've done a DIY video that this is a low quality organization or your work is low quality. Okay, so that number one, if I can just encourage people to just go out and start making content and forgive yourself for any mistake, just number one, just do that because content is amazing. It is the thing that you have to have right now. So I do have some very simple practical tips that will actually make your videos just like 100% better right out of the gate. And I'm the one he is talking about is so simple. You're gonna roll your eyes. But it's this. Okay, so you're using your cell phone, right? Or you're using a camera lens or whatever. These things get put in your pocket. They get held in your hand. They get do all these weird things to it. And then you go to take a picture. But what's happened is your lenses are all dirty. Okay, and the cameras are good, but they're not that good. They cannot see through the dirt and oil. So actually, what I give out as swag for my company is lens cloth cleaners. Because the number one thing before you take any picture, just wipe your lens off. Okay. It doesn't even have to be this. It can be the sleeve of your, okay. It could be this. Just do this really fast. And then the other thing is, yes, we live in a vertical world, but shooting horizontally is actually will give you more longevity to your work because most video editing tools give you the option of turning it vertical automatically and it does it very seamlessly. And I'll talk about two tools later that helps you do that. So just shoot it this way. This gives you more options of where you can use it and how. And these are amazing cameras. Like these tools that we have in our pocket are like incredible cameras. They have incredible audio. But the other tip that I'll tell you, if you really just want to take it up a notch, is to invest in a set of wireless mics. So right now you can go on any website. There's a lot of, oh, actually, Alex, I'll give you a couple websites after this if you don't want to shop on Amazon, but they do have one on Amazon. They're little wireless mics. This is called Hollyland. And what these do is this piece attaches to your cell phone. This is the receiver. Okay, and this piece is a little button and it just clips onto your lapel like that. Can't even see it. And it just gives your audio just like 80% better. Like, so it just sounds a little bit more professional because it's just a little bit better quality. This is why podcasters, they use the great mics because your ear is really picky about sounds. And if it doesn't sound great, you're going to want to change it faster. So having a mic, wiping your lens, and then finally, I'll say stabilization is the other thing. So if you're doing a really long video, getting a tripod. So a tripod is something that, has the legs and it has a little gripper for your phone. And it just holds it steady. And you can get ones for your desktop. You get ones for that. That's great. Honestly, even lighting and stuff like that, as long as you can find a good space, like move around in your office, move around in your space and turn on the camera on your laptop or on your phone and see how does this look? Oh, it doesn't look good here. Just keep moving around till you find a good spot. I guarantee you'll find a great spot. My tip about that though is try not to mix indoor and outdoor light. So there's this thing called color theory and color temperature. So light actually has different colors. Your outdoor light is a different color from your indoor light. So if you're sitting next to a bright window and you have these overhead lights on, what's happening is your blue light from outside, your overhead light's red, and now you have a green face and like a kind of muddled orangey face. So just try to focusing on Like I have professional lights right now that are color toned to outdoor lights so that my outdoor lights and my indoor that all matches. But yeah, you can always upgrade. You can get selfie lights, you can get ring lights, all those sorts of things. Personally, like I don't know, they just make things more complicated and they give you weird alien eye pupils if you get the ring lights. But again, super simple stuff. And again, YouTube University is the best place to learn any tips, tricks, of the trade. It's where I go sometimes when I get a new piece of equipment. I'm like, I don't know how to use this. Like, what? Go to YouTube. Somebody has created a video about how to do the thing you want to do, and it's for free, probably. So those are my tips for really doing some DIY.
Good. Well, then this you've kind of already answered in part my third question, but maybe though a few things you'd like to add about some additional practical things that organizations can do on their own without a professional like you to help them raise more money, build their brand, and then things that they would probably best do with a firm like yours, a couple of tangible things that they could think about getting done next year or even next quarter.
Yeah, so I think that there's a place, obviously, I think there's a place for both things. We want our clients, even the clients we work with on, a dozen projects over a year, they're out there creating their own content. In fact, one of our biggest clients, I just went in and did a session where I taught their whole team some of these. I did a longer version of this, but DIY tips, because what's happening is we're using some of their DIY stuff to incorporate into the videos that we make also cinematically. And so it's creating this huge volume of an asset library, right, of content we can use over the years. This is an organization that's been around for 30 years already. So they have they anticipate for being around for another 30. So we're creating this archive, which is really cool. The other thing too is sometimes it's not appropriate to bring in an outside film crew. So we at Make a Scene Media, we practice something called trauma-informed video production. And so what that is really is I know a lot of organizations talk about how to be trauma-informed in their own work, how to be trauma-informed in relating with their community, in the program development, things like that. But one thing that we forget about is their storytelling, our messaging, and how we're capturing those stories. And then who really needs to be in the room when we're capturing those stories and things like that. So again, we work in affordable housing. Sometimes they're having community events that are not appropriate to bring in an outside film crew, or it would make the celebration feel weird if there's a outside film crew there. But they still want to capture this content for their internal marketing or for, the resident properties. So they have road program managers that now are trained to do some of these quick shooting tips, how to think about the story, how to really plan. And so they're getting great quality stuff, even for their internal, uses. So anywhere where you really want to be trauma informed, very sensitive, you don't want to bring in people who might not understand your mission, who might, just really not, it might just not be the appropriate occasion. So, we like to come in though, again, as a strategy partner. We like to come in, at the top of the year when you're planning your strategy and think about what are your strategic goals for the year? Are you trying to launch a new capital campaign? Are you trying to develop a new program? Are you doing a brand overhaul? Are you partnering with another organization and you want to celebrate that? So these sort of bigger strategy goals is where we want to come in and say, okay, now where is the best place to use video for this? Where is the best use of video messaging, storytelling to help create this alignment so that strategic goal can happen? Sometimes it's in awareness. Sometimes it's in capacity building within the organization itself. Sometimes it's high dollar, donor engagement. Um, sometimes, like, for example, one of the things I think that's happening right now is people are really looking at all of the ways they've raised money in the past and saying, is this still effective? Is this still the best way? For example, the gala. Is the gala still the best, most efficient, effective way to do what the thing that you want the gala to do? Right. So, really, in saying, okay, Is the gala actually for raising money and talking about our great goals? If so, is this big party that we spend all this money and we would basically break even? We're not making money then. That's not actually achieving the goal. And so then, well, okay, well, what can we do instead? And so that's one of the things I'm excited to talk about, some new technologies that I've seen that people are utilizing and that are helping to sort of bridge the gap between how video makes connections and the ways that we know work in order to reach people. So now, do you want me to talk about the video brochure, Alex? Yeah, okay. So, one of the things it's actually not a new tool. This has actually been around for about 15 years, but I think that the quality and speed in which these can be manufactured is now at a point which makes this viable. So, as I've been saying this whole time, the number one way to make an authentic emotional connection with people, I believe, is through video, right? The best way. The best way to get analytics, I think, is through video. You know when someone watches it. You can follow if someone shares it. You can get people to, if somebody donates, right? But for years, for decades, really direct mail has been the best way that nonprofits have found to actually reach the masses, to really reach a large group of people to do a volume of content outreach at one time. But you don't get a lot of analytics from that, right? You don't really know necessarily per person who is opening that piece of mail. Is it affecting them? And then you also, how much of an emotional connection can you get through that letter that people now know can see through? Because that's an auto pen that signed it. Some computer filled in my name. Nobody actually knows me at that organization. There's now something called the video brochure that can bridge the gap between those two things. So imagine you get a mailer in the mail that's this big and you open it up. Inside is this little cardboard. It's made out of cardboard. It feels like a children's book. Upside down. And then you open it and it plays a video.
Come on, Spike.
What's cool about this is it doesn't just play video. You can have PDFs, you can have your strategic report, you can have directly linked to donate, things like that. Now, what is really cool about this is there's so many different options. This is just one vendor that I found. There's some pluses and minuses to this vendor. Some people really love the options that this vendor has, and some people hate it. And I will tell you, this has 4G in it. So one of the things that makes this cool, a blessing and a curse, is that when you send this to somebody in the mail, you actually know when they open it. You know it per person, per user, when someone opens it, how long they watched it, whether or not they engaged with it, and then if they go and take it to the office and they show it to somebody. So it's actually got a 4G tag in it. It comes with a disclaimer and tells people that it has that in there, so they're not like surprising them. There's other options and other vendors that I'll actually share right now because they do some really cool things.
And these videos can be customized to some degree.
They can be completely customized. So this whole thing can be customized. You can have it preloaded with video content. You can have each one loaded with a different video. So this is where that hyper customization kind of comes in and that high dollar donor, high touch donor, I think would play. You would say, "Dear Mrs. Smith, I really, wanted to thank you for your decades of support for our organization. We wanted to show you how wonderful it's been. This. You supported this. You supported this. This many people went to college, blah, 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 blah. We want you to keep this as a memento of all those great things. Show it to your friends and family, blah, blah, blah. This is the thing, right? People are replacing their galas with this. So St. Jude's Hospital during COVID, they're known for their gala. They couldn't have the gala, but they still wanted people to feel in touch. They wanted people to have something tangible. So they wanted a swag and they wanted something that felt premium. So these actually all came in these specialty boxes. They actually had a piece of swag in it. For some reason, I'm not able to share my screen and I don't know why, but there's a vendor, which again, I'll share with Alex afterwards, called MediaFast. And they actually have the whole box is customized. Okay. And you open the lid and on the lid, there's the video screen. Okay, I have an idea. What if replace the donation box with a video, right? So you now have a video that has a QR code. And so this donation box, and it looks like a little like piggy bank or something like that, where you watch the video and you're immediately able to QR code make a donation. But these you could have these video screens as point of sale at a local market. So I'm thinking of all of the ways that your people are currently using some of these sort of direct mail or these like point of service, placing of their brand and of their content. Or you go to a conference, you go to a health fair, you have these little video, and they have all different sizes um, for these. They come up to 10 inches. And you can get them as low as one.
Mm.
So my big thing about going to conferences, anytime you're there, anytime you have a presence somewhere, bring a video to show. Have something to show people. So one of my jobs right out of college is I used to sell promotional products. I should have led with that because that's one of the reasons why I got so excited about this tool is because I have seen so many different ways that people can get their name on stuff, right? And ways to try to keep that branding and visibility alive longer than, the minute of like when they receive something. That's why I love my swag because I can people reach out to me all the time and are like, I use this every day. I still use the thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I wipe my lens now every time I take a picture. It's like a thing I'm known for now. Like people come up to me, they're like, I wipe my lens. Um, this is something that people don't throw away. So I've had a call with a couple of different vendors just to see, how different ways people are using it. And she was saying how she met a woman who was like, "Oh, I own a company, and the reason why I know about this is my dad bought a Mercedes 5 years ago, and this little book came with the Mercedes about all the different features and all the different cool things that it did." And she's like, my dad is like a minimalist and he throws everything away, but he still has this little video brochure. And she was like, this to me is like, it's a thing, it's everlasting and people don't want to get rid of it. So could this be the portal to your organization that people have? You email somebody before they get it. Hey, look out for something special in the mail from us. You're about to get something, a real treat, right? And they get it in the mail. You do another follow-up. Hey, did you receive that special something we sent you? What did you think? So that's like 3 or 4 points of communication right there. When, the rule is, I think 7 points of communication over six, different vehicles over 3 months or something. I can't remember. 3, 6, 9. Um, the more ways that you can reach people, the more times that you're reaching out to them, the more personalized you can make something. Again, the better people feel connected to them.
Great. Thank you. Before we open it up, and by the way, I think you told me that the cost of some of those video brochures, just the not necessarily developing the video, which is probably easier and cheaper than people realize, um, but the actual brochure is like $35. Does that?
Oh, cheaper. I mean, at volume, you could get them, I think, at like $15. They
Okay.
have one where you can get them just blank white, plain, where you're putting your own custom stickers and decals and uploading your own video. And I think that's like $9 a unit. Obviously you're creating a little bit more work on yourselves. And then just so you know, they have environmentally friendly options for the paper. They have recycling options. Those were my questions that I wanted to know right away.
Mm.
If people feel like, okay, I want to return this and I don't want this in my house, how can they recycle this? Because this is a lot of material to just become waste. So that was the other thing. Before we move on, I want to talk about two more tools that really I feel like make video accessible to folks. So let's say you're DIYing and you're creating this little video for yourself. You've got your phone on a tripod, you've wiped your lens, you've found some good lighting, you've got your mic attached. You've done a test run to make sure that everything works properly because there's nothing worse than doing the whole thing and then realizing your mic wasn't on. Been there, done that more than once. You think you learned the first time, but you don't. So just double check. I always do a test, play it, and then record for real. Let's say you've done all of that. Well, the really hard part sometimes is then what do you do with that video? How do you edit it? What is the content that's usable? What do people need to hear out of this? Maybe you rambled on for an hour, right? And you're like, oh no, this needs to be 5 minutes or this needs to be 30 seconds. What do I do? Well, guess what? There's so many great tools that make this very easy. And so, again, I want to just say record yourself and just go. Talk, share your magic for as long as you want, because there's two great tools that help take really long pieces of video content and cut them down into really short social media ready, shareable content with very low barrier to entry in terms of knowledge of how to use editing. The first program is called Riverside AI. And so what that is a video podcasting tool, but you can either use it solo or with somebody remotely. So let's say you wanted to do a podcast style where you're interviewing your board of director or you're the head of the board of your directors. And so you do that interview, it's an hour long. You do it through Riverside. You sign up for Riverside, very, very cost effective. I don't think it's very expensive. You both record, and then Riverside does all of the work for you. It literally records it, it makes the audio better, it makes the video better. It gives you the summary, it gives you the chapter markers, and I think it'll even clip it for you and give you some really short social media ready bites to like tease it and to help promote that long episode. And then you can even share it directly from the site. The other tool is called Opus Clips AI. And I guarantee you, if you have been on TikTok or Instagram in the last 5 year, you have seen people using this program. So if you've seen people making those really short social media videos where they have the captions and the captions get highlighted, and maybe there's an emoji that pops up every once in a while, they're using Opus Clips. So what Opus Clips does is you can take a video that you record either in Riverside, in QuickTime, or just using your phone, hitting the record button. You would upload it into Opus Clips and literally hit go, and it does its magic for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long the video is. And then you can select the font, the color, the motion it uses, how many lines per caption, all the sort of customization very simply. Like if you can use Canva, you can use Opus Clips. Um, and then it spits out, let's say you did an hour-long interview. It would give you maybe 30 to 40 social media ready bites between 30 seconds and 2 minutes, captioned, ready to go. Now, they're not all going to be perfect. I'm going to tell you maybe 10% are usable out of the 30 or 40, I would feel. You don't need 30 or 40 anyways. I mean, that would be a lot. But they're very easy to customize. Like if you can edit a Word document by editing words, that's how easy it is to edit the video. You actually edit the caption, the words, and it edits the video and audio for you as you're editing the words. It's amazing.
Wow.
So those are two tools that really just you can make content and then just look like you're a pro just very easily and makes your life a lot easier.
Great. Before we go to questions, I asked you if you could, and appreciate it if you spend any time on this, just to take a look at some of the websites of the organizations involved in IPA, and maybe there were a couple of uses of video you saw that impressed you, and maybe you had some general comments about ways that this community of organizations in general could up their game.
I did, and I didn't want to call anybody out, but I felt like I saw some I saw some really great websites. And then I basically got a really good sense of some tips that I want to give today. So for using video in websites, I think really rethinking about SEO, right? And your search engine optimization, how people are finding you, and replacing anything that you would hear the word text like 5, 10 years ago, like have a blog, have a written this, have your about this, have your keyword search, any word replaced with video. So SEO is now dominated by AI and video searching. So when somebody goes to look for, organizations near me to donate to, It's no longer pulling from your keywords. It's going to look for who in the AI world has recommended you and what videos are out there talking about you. So YouTube is one of the top reasons why that's happening. So YouTube actually has like broken the Google algorithm, where if you Google something, it used to be that people who paid for their ads to be at the top search return would be the first thing you would see, even if it wasn't super relevant to what you were searching for. And it was really annoying because you'd be like, I wanted a roof repair. I don't need shoes. Like, anyway, cobbler, that doesn't make sense. But and then the real organizations would fall maybe 10th down or something like that. Now it's looking at YouTube. So it'll recommend the videos you should watch first about roofing. And then it'll recommend the people who've paid for roofing ads to come up, and then the organic search, the people who are actually doing roofing and are doing a good job and people are looking for them. So I recommend if you don't have video, you need to have video on your website. And figuring, working with whatever your hosting services, whether it's Squarespace, WordPress, Wix, to make sure that you're optimized with a service that can handle video. So not all of your web browser, development company, they can handle the high quality video, and that will actually be a detriment to your website. So really just make sure your website can handle the video before doing that. And if it can't, look at how you optimize, look at how you plan on modernizing your website, but budget in including video at the same time that you do your website overhaul. And then introduce your video producer to the website designer and let them talk to each other about how best to create content and then optimize the website for that content. So I'll tell you the top 3 things that we love to use video for on websites. Number 1 is the video FAQ section. So where you used to have a blog and you have your written about us, all those things are like the process and the purpose and the why, all of that should become a video. All of that needs to turn into video. And what you do is you take those videos, you make sure it's captioned, you make sure that in the back end of the video, when you go on YouTube to put it in there, every word that's been said is included in the back end of that video. So like where you would include the SEO, you include the transcript of the video. Because now everything you've talked about, so all those keywords and all those things that people need to search to find you, you've said it in the video, you put it on YouTube, and then you put it on your website. So they have all these plugins that draw it from YouTube to put it into your website. Now people are finding you through those FAQs. And the other great thing is you've made a personal connection with somebody. They see a person, maybe it's the director, maybe it's a bunch of different volunteers. However you want to show your organization, what they look like, where they come from, who they are, what they believe in, what better way to do it to show it rather than to say it, right? Through who it is that is the first face of telling these stories about who your organization is. The other one is your about video, your sort of 2 to 3 minute, your cachet, cinematic, like who are you? Why are you doing this work? What is that beautiful future that you envision? And how can people be involved with that beautiful vision and making that happen? So really just like that purpose, your why, the success you've already had, where you're going, that should be your about. So that's the second video. And again, you put it on YouTube first, and then you put it out on your YouTube, your website. The great thing about both of those two sets of videos is that they don't just live on your website. They become campaigns in and of themselves. Each one of those videos could be 5 individual pieces of content, right? Because you have the video. Well, then you can do a written LinkedIn post that goes along with the video. And then you do a short Instagram story share. And then you do a quote picture on TikTok, all leading back to this FAQ video, right? Or all leading back. So maybe you do an email campaign. We found that if you include the word video in your subject line when you're writing an email to somebody, it increases your open rate by 60%. So if you say, hey, watch our great new video that tells you about our mission and tells you what we have in store, people are going to open it, they're going to click, especially, and then now you've driven people to another place. It's about driving that engagement, also not keeping them static in the email, not keeping them static on social media, but getting them to click to the next step. Go and take that next call to action, and keep that flow going. Don't let anybody drop off at any stage. Thanks for watching our video. If they watched their video, having ways to find that and tag that. Thanks for sharing our video. The other thing too, when you share your videos on social media, on LinkedIn, don't ghost it. I post and ghost is what we call it. You know, Engage with the people engaging with your content. If you get 100 likes, go through those 100 likes. Who are those people? Go follow their accounts. Say thank you individually to those individual likes. If someone shared it, take the time to find out their email. Oh my gosh, I saw you share this. That is the number one way we can increase our impact. Thank you so much. You just exponentially increase the reach we can have this year. Telling them what they just did for you, right? And that makes me want to do it again. Oh, cool. That felt good. We turn to our phones for that dopamine hit. If you can be part of the reason somebody got a dopamine hit, that's awesome.
Okay. So let me, this has been fantastic. I want to open it up. I'm sure people have questions and things they want to discuss. So the floor is open. Thank you so much, Taylor. This has been amazing. Who'd like to start us off?
Alex, this is Nalini. Can I go?
Oh, yeah. Let me bring you up, but please just go right ahead.
Taylor, this was wonderful. I'm a member of the IPA, and this has been really great. I was wondering if you recommend the use of AI to actually create video content.
Yeah, so two of those programs I talked about, Riverside and Opus Clips, are utilizing AI to cut and clip your videos, right? I love that. I love being able to streamline and make that process so much more efficient using your content, right? I would say the caution I pose in AI in creating content, especially creating content from scratch, is a couple of things. Number one, are you actually creating the authenticity you want to get if you're creating a video from scratch using AI? Are you unintentionally, is there bias built into the AI, right? So if you ask it to create a video about the need for a hunger program, and it returns people that all look like a certain demographic, and you're like, why do you think that this is, and so you really have to be careful, just knowing the pitfalls that are in AI in and of itself. And then also just it's still a little bit cost prohibitive. I've tried out some of the free image creation, video creation from scratch tools. They're not great. It's still kind of clunky. Would take a lot more time to make great. I think than just starting with some of your own content and then using AI to just enhance and make it faster for you.
Great, thank you. Because we tried. Arogya World is the name of the organization I represent, and we do diabetes prevention in India. So we had a project to use YouTube Shorts to recruit rural Indian consumers into our text messaging or WhatsApp-based program. And we found it very difficult to actually create good content using AI. Ultimately, we went to we shot, on cell phones, individual videos, and then we stitched it together. But yeah, we couldn't do a good job with AI only for video creation.
I think that you found that exactly the same thing that I did, which it can be a great addition, but trying to use it from scratch, I'm not sure it's there yet.
Okay, thank you.
Who else? Thank you, Nalini, for kicking us off.
Hi, Alex. Preeti here from Arty for Girls. Can I go next?
Of course. Please go right ahead.
Hi, Taylor. Thank you for this insanely useful session. We've had, I mean, I again sort of represent an organization called Arty for Girls. I'm part of the IPA Alliance as well. So we've had quite a rough journey over the past 1 year trying to incorporate visual content, right, across the board. That's across our website, that's in our social media sort of strategy. And I mean, there are a couple of things that we sort of need to do, but I'll talk to you about two of the challenges, and I hope you can sort of help address it to some extent. One is just each time we talk about visual content, the two elements that seem to creep in is just, oh no, we need to bring in this huge production house, which usually entails quite a bit of expense, which we are, given that we're a fairly small organization, become incredibly mindful of, and that itself sort of becomes a non-starter. That's the first issue. The second one has been, we do a lot of work in girls and women empowerment. And one of the things that we thought would be most effective in sort of conveying our message across to our donors and sort of people outside of just sort of getting our message across to a larger community is having our girls speak for themselves, right? And to the extent that we've been trying to sort of film them, trying to get them as comfortable as possible, speaking in their native language to the extent that they're not comfortable in English, just it comes across, unfortunately, we've not been able to crack the code on that one, Taylor, because they come across as very stilted, very rehearsed. And while we've been trying to sort of say, no, we're going to do it off camera, not even tell them about the camera, don't give them a script, let them sort of, it's not been great for us. That's a very long-winded way of saying, do you have tips in terms of, and these are just people on the ground that the girls are incredibly familiar with. These are not outsiders. These are people that they work with on a regular basis and trying to film on phones and stuff like that, right? So that we can keep the cost low. But we've not been able to crack the code on having the girls themselves sort of relax and be able to sort of just chat. Do you have any tips in terms of just that, right? The first is, how do we even get off the ground in terms of filming videos for our website? And two, what's the most effective way of filming our girls and women who we sort of work with?
So what's the age of the girls?
Um, so the ones we've attempted to film are like on the slightly on the older side, around 15, 16. Those are the ones we sort of sit and talk to, and older. We
Yeah.
don't necessarily talk to the younger ones. We just film them in action while they're in their natural environments in school and playtime and stuff. But the ones that we've been attempting to film are like 15 and older, 16 and older.
So that is a really tough just age, as you know,
Age.
right? Yeah. But no, what I'll say is we did so last year we worked with a county here in Virginia to create a public service announcement that was with high school students. It was to prevent teen dating violence. And we were hired to help come up with this PSA and work with the students to help figure out what the best way to do this PSA was. We actually had the idea to have the students write it, direct it, and produce it, obviously with us being there. But we let them really take control of the full process and said, hey, these are the objectives. We're trying to prevent dating violence. They had had some education. It was part of this domestic violence awareness club, basically. So they knew about some of the conditions around dating violence. So we really talked about, okay, we made some parameters for them. We were like, all right, we have to decide on the length. How long do you think this should be? And they're like, oh, well, we watch videos that are this length. I think the first thing we did is we created a market research study that they polled their other teen friends of like, where do you watch your content? What would make you want to share something? What makes you want to pay attention to something? They went out and did a poll, came back, figured out, okay, well, we should make a 45-second video. It should be like this. It should be funny.
Right.
All these sorts of things. And then we just were there to really guide that process. It was definitely interesting. Again, working with that age group is hit or miss because it was like some weeks all of the kids would show up and some weeks none of the kids would show up, and it was just you never knew who all was going to be there. But I love that you're already thinking, how do we help people tell their own stories? That is exactly to me it. That is it. That's the goal. That's the world I want to live in, where everybody is empowered and has the tools to tell their own stories. And I think even taking it a step further and just being like, hey, this is our objective. What do you
Yeah.
think we should do about this? How should we get this? What's the best way to tell? If you guys don't want to be the ones to tell it because you don't feel comfortable, well, how can we share these stories? And I bet they would come up with something really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then again, I would just say take some of for getting started, take that list of ideas that I had of just, getting a tripod, getting a mic, and then thinking through your strategy. Okay, what are we trying to achieve this year? One video that I've seen recently in the donor space, which I really liked. It's like a very DIY video of like two organization members. It almost feels like you were sitting in a conversation of, hey, here's the real problem we're facing. Yeah, well, we've tried this, and it's a conversation that's happening, and you feel kind of in the room of like, wow, these are the real problems they're facing.
Oh,
Not
that's
even
nice.
with a call to action necessarily, but like, what are your ideas? Like involving people in the creation around the problem solving too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's bringing them along for the journey and helping them feel like they're a part of it. So just get started. It would be my would be my tip.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think that's the message, right? Get started, get filming, and then sort of, yeah, start that. Thank you so much.
And I'm gonna make sure you have all my contact information and things like that too. So if you need it as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Taylor. Thanks, Alex.
There's a principle. Maybe just one more question. Um, I've done a lot of reading on impact and social change and all. And one of the things is that it made me think you're putting the teenagers more in the driver's seat in terms of this. Is there was an experiment in the state of Florida some years ago about teen smoking, and the teen smoking of trying to discourage teen smoking was very traditional. Like I did this when I was in the 70s, right? It's bad for you, don't do it. And then what they did is they actually created a new campaign where they said they challenged the teens to uncover how the tobacco companies were manipulating them. Like who can figure out how they're trying to, and basically like teens by putting them in the driver's seat to kind of to use their intelligence to figure out all this. Like teen smoking went down from like 19% to 8% in a year in the and it was like just that whole thing of giving the people you're trying to kind of activate a sense of agency, not rather just being the recipient. It just what you were talking about reminded me of that. So
That's my favorite example. And actually, there's a professor, I can't remember what university, he works in propaganda. And he's having the students create propaganda. So that's how he's teaching them how, like, it's to learn how to do it, to learn how to not be taken in by it.
Yeah.
I think that is so powerful. Again, with creating videos for yourself, I think that's how you can get around that. So.
Okay. One more, probably have time for one more question or comment related to this.
Hi, this is Priya. I'm from Sehgal Foundation.
Priya,
Can
go
I go?
right ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Taylor. Thank you for your suggestions. These have been These have been greatly helpful. I actually had a query. In your experience, what would you suggest when you mentioned about sending a thank you video to the donors after they make the donation? Do you think an animated video or a cartoonified video would be more impactful, or do you think a genuine human centric video would be more impactful, talking from the donation point of view?
I'm always going to say people, right? I'm always going to say a person and a personal appeal is going to be the best impact. But I think you can really look at your organization and the mission and the purpose and really think through that. Again, someone saying your name that somebody has to say it and not create a prompt that just pulls someone, data scrapes someone's name. and inserts it into the thing. Because like when you create an animated something, you could still just use a computer to like, even if it was like, hey, Alex, it could still be the computer that has inserted that, not a person writing in, hey, Alex. So, but I do, again, if what is available to you is creating like a Canva graphic only animated video or something like that, use that. I would say don't not use it because there's a better option. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good.
Mm.
And I'm also, if you want to, I can do another question, Alex, if you wanted to.
Yeah, sure. We can take probably one more quick question if there is.
I'm Jeremiah here from the Center for Wildlife Studies. I thank you so much for this talk. It's absolutely awesome to hear from someone who's inspired by film and video this much. Like because they have inspired me, they have the power to inspire other people. It's awesome to hear you talk about it. One thing I just wanted to quickly ask is, what is maybe a mistake or like something that takes video storytellers time to learn in this process? That's something that you wish you would have known much earlier. Something that you would love to share. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Definitely being trauma informed in the work from the beginning. So I did start out creating cable television for like National Geographic, Discovery Channel, History Channel, Netflix, but also like Bravo and some other, other networks. And really that process can be an extractive storytelling process where people's stories are a gimmick that you use to elicit an emotional response from people, right? That is manipulation. And I never felt comfortable with that exchange because I get very connected with the people that I interview. I get very connected with the stories of the people that I tell or help to tell. And so it's important to me that they feel taken care of, not just during the interview, but afterwards. So we have a whole trauma-informed process that we created, and it really revolves around transparency about how stories are used. So when you ask someone to share their story, being very clear, this is going to be used for fundraising. We're going to put it online. We're going to share it to 1 million people. Or we're only going to share it to 5 people, right? Because some people feel comfortable with one and not the other, and you'd be surprised who is comfortable with what. So consent, transparency, and then treating people as human beings. And then don't forget about your crew. So if you're working on a very sensitive subject matter and you've invited an outside crew, don't forget to clue them in about what is happening that day before they come to set, and give them the opportunity to decline that work. Because some people, right, like if you're in animal conservation and it's like really devastating and like, so that would be very hard, as a camera operator, you want someone who is fully there and functioning, like not disassociating because they're having a trauma response as well. So being super clear that everybody knows what the content is, everybody has accepted what is happening and can say yes or no. And you'd be surprised just by saying those things out loud. You've created a trauma-informed set because now people feel safe to tell you if they feel unsafe. They feel safe in telling you how they want to be treated, and they also feel safe enough to share their story. So those walls come down and that authenticity really comes out because they feel in a place that's comfortable. Because the other thing too is like even down to the type of equipment that you use can be trauma informed. So the equipment now is very low footprint. Like it's very small, like the lights are small, the cameras are small, and the less it can look like a set, the more trauma informed you are and the more comfortable people will be. So that would be the.
So I think we're going to wrap it here. I'll just close by saying 2 things. I've raised a lot of money in my career. It may sound immodest to say, but like most things, that's because I was a bad fundraiser before I was a good fundraiser, and I learned. And one of the things I learned is when I used to go meet with donors, I would bring all sorts of brochures and all sorts of things to put on the table and walk them through. And as I said, I started to just go into meetings empty-handed. Because what I realized is ultimately they were making a calculation of, was I a trustworthy person? Was I someone who would use their resources well and be honest with them? And that they only get by looking me in the eye and having a conversation. And I can always send things collateral later, but it's really that connection. And I think what you're doing, I mean, I'm admitted I'm a product of the 20th century. You're a product of the 21st century. Is you're translating some of these evergreen ideas about how to create connections with people around mission and translating them into the video age, the YouTube age, the digital age. And I'm learning so much from you, and I know others have. And thank you for spending your time with us. I hope people have taken away ideas that can help them next year. And if they find their way and want to work with you and your company, all the better. But Taylor, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you for all the work you're doing. It's amazing to see. And I'm just so grateful to have spent this time with you.
Okay. Bye, everyone. We'll be back with
Thank
new
you.
editions of the virtual town hall next year. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Tyler. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.